Welcome back to Tran's Play A Little Lily Princess. Today is June 12th, or is it 11th?
It's the 12th.
Okay, today is June 12th, 2016. It is a little after 3 p.m.
And I don't really know what I was going for. Is this what I did last time, or is this what I wanted?
This is what you did last time.
Yeah. So let's see. I need to be more artistic. My Grace is... Okay, so Grace's icon is... a little angel thingy. It's not a lot of ways. Well, that's pretty graceful. I need artistry too, and then belief. I could get some knowledge that way too. That could be good. So my knowledge is down. I had been maxing that for a long time. Let's do that. Okay. Well,
you were already maxed on patience, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I've got grace, I've got some artistry. I don't remember if my vigor was maxed, but I think it was, or close to it. Sarah, come and see.
A number of students were drawn to the sound of Ermengarde's excitement. It was not often that a girl would call for such attention in her bedroom, particularly not quiet Miss St. John.
What is it? Look, through the window outside, that tree outside. Can you see it?
From the door to the room, Lavinia smirked. I should hope that she can see the tree outside, or else she needs eyeglasses. Hush!
What do you want me to see, Ermengarde? There's a nest in the branches there, and there are eggs in it. Soon there will be baby birds. That's darling, isn't it?
Babies? Where?
Must everyone come into my room?
If you do not wish to attract attention in the future, do not bellow. Where are the babies?
They're still inside the eggs, Lottie. There'll be baby birds sometime in the future.
Can baby birds see inside eggs? What?
I don't know, just her questions. I don't know. No, I think they're asleep. Wouldn't it be wonderful to have a bird for a pet? You could feed it from your hand, and it would sing to you.
Baby birds are not wonderful. They're horrible, pink-skinned monsters with no eyes. Disgusting.
They have eyes, they're just closed. She needs to go back to school.
Monsters?
No, they aren't very pretty when they're born, but they change as they grow up. Ooh, there's like a lesson here. A lot of things do. Soon little birds are covered with fuzz all over. Fluffy chicks are adorable. But then they grow up and learn to fly. Even if I tried to keep a bird as a pet, it would probably fly away. There were people in India who kept parrots as pets. Not even in cages. They can be trained to ride on someone's shoulder. My papa knew a man who gave his bride to be a parrot that he taught to recite love poetry to her. How romantic.
I don't think a bird is a very romantic gift. What if she didn't want a pet? I don't think a bird is a very romantic gift. What if she didn't want a pet? What if it pulled her hair?
And it's a long-term commitment, too.
Lavinia reached out and tugged at a strand of Jessie's long red hair. Quack! My beloved is mine, and I am hers. She feedeth among the lilies. Quack! Stop that! She swatted Lavinia's hand away. Are you going to take one of the eggs out of the nest to raise it?
Oh no, that wouldn't be right. Little birds need their parents to survive.
Jessie combed her hair back into place with her fingers. At least until the parents shove them out of the nest. Birds do that, don't they?
Just like our parents did to us, they kicked us out into this boarding school and left us on our own to fend for ourselves with these crazy people. And that doll.
Do they, Sarah Mama?
Only when it's time for the young ones to learn to fly. After all, they can't stay eggs forever. Okay. I don't know enough. I have to know a lot to help her, I guess. Okay. The chick. Alright, I need the sympathy for her, so I don't want to expend sympathy.
If you really hate her, skip the weekend. If you really, really hate her.
That makes me sound petty.
You are petty. That's to be expected. You're like a 12-year-old girl.
Maybe I can make her a better person.
I might be a little late for that.
Well, we're going to try. I'm going to suck it up and talk to people I don't like, because I'm just that good.
I do that every day when I talk to you.
Everybody look at me what a good person I am. Okay.
Sarah knocked upon the door.
It is Sarah Crew. May I come in?
You may enter.
You actually look kind of friendly there.
Miss Minchin's model student was, this day, holding court in her room.
Oh wow, look who thinks she's fancy.
It was a rather small court, consisting as it did of only one loyal follower, Jessie Abbott, but Lavinia's posture suggested no doubt about her right to rule.
Hello, Lavinia. May I?
I beg your pardon?
Your pardon?
That is not begging.
Wow, I regret talking to her already.
Jessie tittered behind her hand.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
No, it is evident that there are a great many things you do not understand.
Funny, I didn't need knowledge to talk to you.
That is only to be expected, seeing that you have been raised in the savage outlands. However, here in England, we observe manners. Sarah was perplexed. It was not her desire to be unmannerly, but she could not immediately perceive what breach she had committed. You are too forward, Miss Crew. I have not invited you to use my Christian name.
We have already been introduced.
Knowing one's name is not sufficient reason to use it. A friend would call me Lavinia. You and I are not yet such friends. Oh, Lavy, she is very young. Children use names freely.
Oh wow, she's getting obnoxious too.
It was clear to Sarah that Jessie intended to demonstrate her own superior rank of friendship, not merely Lavinia, but a pet name.
How funny that should be called a pet name when it is Jessie who acts more as the pet to Lavinia.
This is a school for young ladies. Even if she is young enough to be excused, she ought to practice. She will need all the polish that she can get.
I'm going to polish her face with my fist if she keeps acting like this.
After all, Miss Minchin has set me to be her model. It is my responsibility to correct her mistakes.
It is a silly game, these manners, but I do enjoy games. Oh, she's so nice. I'm so graceful.
She curtsied then, if only slightly.
I pray you will forgive me, Miss Herbert. I was too familiar.
Lavinia waved a hand. You are forgiven, of course. Now, what did you wish to speak with me about?
Miss Minchin said that your father was stationed in India. I was curious where you had lived, whether we might have seen the same...
And now Lavinia held up her hand again. I have no interest in discussing anything whatsoever to do with India. It is not a proper topic for polite conversation. Sarah frowned. From the odd look on Jessie's face, she too seemed to find this answer disappointing. Please understand, Miss Crew, we are here in London under the shield of Her Majesty, the Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, Defender of the Faith, Empress of India.
That's a heck of a title.
Everything that matters in the world takes place within these miles. Trade within the city, government and parliament, and society within the palace. India is a distant hinterland, filthy and rife with disease. It is a jungle out there.
Yes, there are jungles, but are not any more filthy than London is. Nothing could be more filthy than London.
A proper lady expresses interest in India only to imagine the thrill of being made to briefly visit such a wild and terrible terrain. You should be very glad that you have escaped it. Thrills are exciting. Hush. Lavinia rubbed one hand over the other as if brushing away dirt. I hope I have made myself clear. We will not be discussing India here.
Look at my face. I am not happy with you.
However, I will be very pleased to aid you in learning the ways of the English, Miss Crewe. I am certain that is what Miss Minchin had in mind when she directed you to me.
That is very kind of you.
Not at all. It is my duty, and every good English man or woman is keen to do his or her duty.
Like my papa, the soldier.
Yes, if you must.
I still don't understand why she refuses to speak about India. Wasn't she born there? She must know how lovely it can be. New week. Girls, gather round if you please. Today I've arranged a special outing for your edification. We will be attending the British Museum of Natural History. Natural? Does that mean plants?
I hope not. There's nothing edifying about plants.
It could be interesting to attend a museum of plants with people who know all about them and can tell their stories.
You mean gardeners? Maybe we'll get to play in the garden.
Quiet now. Form up. Let's go.
Ah! It's going to eat me!
Look at her face over here. She's like, It can't eat you, laddie. It's not a real dinosaur. It's a former dinosaur.
It's dead. It's going to fall on me.
I don't think it will fall. It's really rather interesting. It's an amazing find.
It's disturbing. It's a monster. It's marvelous. Jessie shivered and took Lottie's hand in hers. Come on. Let's go find something to look at that isn't dead.
I think that everything in the museum may be...
Then we will look at the walls.
They are rather pretty walls. You'll look at the exhibits with me, won't you, Sarah? Yes, of course. Are you coming, Lavinia? Oh, I used your name. What now?
That's Miss Herbert to you. No. I want to look at this one a while longer. I'll catch up with the two of you in a few minutes.
Two?
You are here, aren't you?
Right. Oh, look, maybe because I talked to her, she's more recognizing of Ermengarde. Maybe I'm making you more of a human.
Sarah wondered if this was the first time that Lavinia had ever preferred Ermengarde's company to Jessie's.
Okay, now what did I need? Shoot, I needed, knowledge. Gotta help Ermengarde, she needs my help. And I expended... What did I use? I used Grace to talk to the snot. If worse comes to worse, and if I only get one a day, I should read at least 3 days, just in case. Watch me get the triple the first time, that'll be useless. But I could get some artistry.
Well, do you really need a max knowledge? That's the thing. Do you need 10 knowledge?
I don't remember what I needed.
I remember what you needed.
Well, what was it?
I'm not telling you.
In real life, you don't know how many knowledge points you need. You just...
I know. I know exactly what level I am.
In real life, you don't know what...
I know exactly what my experience bar is.
In real life, there are no bars. I'm living this like real life.
Oh, you must have the HUD disabled, because I see everything.
I don't see hit points or anything either, do you?
Yeah, I can see your hit points.
That's... I feel like you have your crosshairs going. Okay. I need more grace.
That's true.
Hey!
Did you already forget what grace is?
I don't know what you're talking about. I was just looking because I like the pictures. Okay. Let's do this. Haha, one book. Wow. Yeah. Reading! Dancing. Well. Okay, so that wasn't bad. Look at, I'm maxed on 5 of the 7. Wait, let me count. Yes, 5 of the 7 things. That
doesn't mean anything. It just means that's resources not being used.
Right, but that means that I'm prepared for most things. Uh-oh.
Sarah was awoken from her sleep by the sound of knocking. Huh? Kesa pasatil?
It's all right. I'll get the door. Lottie?
Sarah, Mama! The young girl clung to Sarah. I had a bad dream and the monster was going to eat me, and then I woke up and it was dark and I thought I saw something.
It was Emily.
Bones! There were bones in my room, monster bones!
Oh, like at the museum, huh? Shh, it's all right. Mariette, where are my slippers?
The maid brought the fluffy white shoes for Sarah to slip her feet into.
I will walk you back to your room and show you that it's safe.
They went into the hallway together, 2 little girls in the dark. You're not mad? I woke you up.
Well, I want to sleep, but you want to sleep too. And if you're too afraid, you can't sleep. But if I help you, then we both can. Oh, she's so, logical.
Lottie blinked her eyes a few times, but said nothing.
There we are. See? No bones, just a tree's shadow.
Right. She paused at the door. Sarah, Mama? I didn't really think there were bones in my room. I mean, I thought it, but I didn't really believe it was true. I knew it that it wasn't. I just wanted to feel better. What are you looking at me for?
I'm looking to see if you stick your chin out, but you're not doing it right now.
I am. You just don't notice.
I think you're holding it back because of my commentary.
No, I knew you'd notice eventually, but I don't care. I'm sorry. Stop looking at me.
Fine.
Sarah nodded slowly.
Sometimes when you pretend things, even if you know behind the doors in your mind that they're not quite real, they still feel as if they were. It isn't wrong to believe in what you pretend.
Lottie smiled. I will pretend that I'm going to have good dreams.
That is a very nice thing to pretend. I believe I will too.
And with that, she returned to her bed.
Look at Lavinia, she's got needs now. First of all, she starts off with just a couple of grades, but now she's like, no, you have to be patient with me, and you have to know more than me. And
everybody started with something simple. That's how the progression system works.
Not so worth more. Okay.
Are you really going to spend 8 knowledge on her?
Yeah.
Are you going to lay down the knowledge?
Yeah, because I feel like, Mariette, we had some great conversations. I think I did hers quite a bit. Lottie, I just took care of her. I was her Sarah mama.
I feel like you barely touched Mariette. That's why she only requires 6 sympathy. Even Lottie requires more.
I think I did hers at least twice, maybe 3 times.
You've done Armagard like 5 or 6 times.
No way. It's been like maybe this is the 4th. Maybe. She needs a friend.
Is this how you feel? Do you empathize?
I like animals. Sarah, look! No, really, it's because the voice is easy.
Yeah, why don't you get your cursor out of the way?
Sarah! Oh, Sarah, look! Look what I have!
Ermengarde knocked rapidly on Sarah's door with one hand, while the other pinned her treasures against her chest. When Sarah opened the door, she was surprised to see her friend clinging with such enthusiasm to what appeared to be a pair of books. Certainly, books would be worthy of Sarah's excitement, but in Ermengarde's hands they seemed more commonly to be useless weights tying her down.
Your father sent you something else? Oh no, these aren't from my father. May I come in? Of course.
She held out her arm in an elegant invitation, a hostess in miniature.
I'll have Mariette fetch us some tea and cakes. Oh, no cake for me, please.
She ducked her head as she walked into Sarah's room, then again to nod a hello to Mariette.
It's just that my mother's always sending me hampers of sweets, even if I don't want them. I'd rather have bread and butter, if that's all right. Of course it is.
I will return shortly, mademoiselle.
Oh. Sarah pulled out a chair for Ermengarde, who was still cradling her burden.
Are those books something your mother sent, then? No, these are from my mother's sister, my Aunt Eliza. She lives in the countryside. She never married, so she inherited my mother's parents' property, and she lives there alone, except when she visits my mother. My father doesn't like her very much because she doesn't agree with him about Irish home rule, and she wasn't very clever at school either. He thinks she is a bad influence. I like her. I wish she were always visiting. When I go home, my father's always asking me things like, when did Edward III ascend the throne? And who died of a surfeit of lampreys? And then my mother says, Dear me, Ermengarde, you are very fat, and sighs. Aunt Eliza takes me riding and talks about the hunt and Rover and Skipper, her dogs, and her gardens. She sent me these.
Ermengarde laid out the 2 volumes for Sarah's eyes. No, there was only one cloth-bound volume. The other, though a similar size and shape, was in fact a pair of wooden blocks wrapped round with leather straps.
It is for flower pressing. You press the flowers tight between the wood blocks and squeeze out all the water inside them. If you put a sheet of paper inside, sometimes the petals will color it, like a print. When the flowers are dry and flat, then you can frame them or stick them to the pages of a book with some egg white. See, she sent some pansies for a start.
Ermengarde spread open the pages of her book, and Sarah bent her dark head to take a closer look.
Oh, you can still see all the little veins in the petals. If you dry them when you press them, they don't shrivel up. What a charming hobby! Your aunt is very wise. It is good to know that Ermengarde does have a relative she is fond of. If you'd had a flower press when you were in India, then you could have saved some of the flowers. When I go back there after I finish school, I will have to press flowers and mail them to you. Go back?
It had not occurred to Ermengarde, until this moment, that Sarah saw her life in England as nothing but a temporary sojourn.
Yes, I must return to my papa. I miss him dreadfully. Then I will never see you again? Oh.
Sarah, as well, had not entirely considered the consequences of developing friendships at Miss Minchin's, and then returning to her home so many hundreds of miles away. It was one thing to think of those whom she loved and missed, but another to consider that she herself would be missed quite strongly if the look in Ermengarde's eyes was anything to judge by.
Well, once I am an adult, I will be able to travel, if I please. I see no reason why I couldn't come back to England once in a while.
She reached over and touched Ermengarde's hand.
If you're waiting for me here, then I will always come back.
Ermengarde breathed out a sigh of relief.
It would be dreadful if you were gone forever.
At that moment, Mariette arrived at last with the tea, and Ermengarde's flower book had to be carefully set aside.
Mademoiselle, hold out your arms like so, if you please.
Sarah extended her arms, letting them drift into ballet second position.
Now, over your head so I can see the fabric stretch.
Marriott was making the final adjustments to Sarah's new pink dancing frock, after pointing out that Sarah's change in height meant her old ones no longer fit just so.
Ah, a touch just there. Take it off again, if you please, and I'll have it done before your next lesson.
Sarah wriggled free of the soft fabric and handed it over.
It's such a beautiful color, and the skirt is so light. Dancing in that, I shall feel like a pink butterfly floating on the breeze, or a fairy princess with wings like rose petals.
Roses. That is what it needs. A wreath of roses for your head. I will find some buds at the florist's.
The mental picture of herself decked out in a pink dancing frock with a crown of flowers was so delightful that Sarah laughed aloud.
Sometimes life is so beautiful, I wonder if I pretended it into being.
Mademoiselle does have a very good imagination.
No, it is the magic. The magic shapes our lives and makes everything wonderful.
Sarah's heart was lighter than a feather.
I forget what Marriott wanted. The sympathy. Shoot, what was? I know you know.
Of course I know.
I get too caught up in the story that I forget.
I can tell. Do you want a hint?
Yes.
If you did nothing this week, you could do Marriott's Quint.
Oh, okay, that's good. Thank you.
I'm awesome.
You are.
I am legit awesome.
Legit awesome as compared to non-legit awesome.
Yeah, I'm just awesome.
Okay, so let's up our grace and our sympathy are kind of low. So sympathy and beliefs are low. So we could do that one. That's because we have a chance of probably get the patience, knowing my luck. But let's see. Look at that. I know things.
I wish.
I got lots of stuff. Look at this. This is a productive week right here. Whoa.
And you can count on all the artistry.
Yeah, well, still, that's pretty good.
Not bad. I would say it's okay. You did okay this week. 5 knowledge, 2 sympathy, 3 belief. That's about 2 points a day. You did okay.
That's pretty good. I'd say that's pretty great for an average.
You did average. Yes, you did okay. See?
Sarah's room at Miss Minchin's seminary were not like the rooms of ordinary pupils who were meant to be satisfied with simple necessities. There were pictures and books and curious things from India. There was a sofa and a low, soft chair. Emily sat in a chair of her own, with the air of a presiding goddess, and there was always a glowing fire in a polished grate. Because the room was such a nice, bright, pretty place, the little scullery maid known as Becky liked to save it until the end of her afternoon's work.
She's here. The special girl.
If luck was with her, she could snatch a few minutes to sit alone in the soft chair and look around, thinking about the wonderful good fortune of the child who owned such surroundings. On this afternoon, when she had sat down, the sensation of relief to her short, aching legs had been so wonderful and delightful that it had seemed to soothe her whole body, and the glow of warmth and comfort from the fire had crept over her like a spell.
You know what's going to happen now? She's going to be an option, and Marriott's not going to get her attention after all.
Her hard-working young body was tired past the limits of endurance. As she looked at the red coals, a tired, slow smile stole over her smudged face. Her head nodded forward without her being aware of it, and her eyelids drooped.
And then Emily moved.
Thus it was then when Emily moved. Thus it was then when Sarah returned to her rooms, her mind full of song and dance. She found an empty coal box on her floor and a maid, so deeply asleep that she might have been an enchanted princess.
Oh, that poor thing.
We need a voice for her. You can be it.
No, I don't.
You'll need to figure it.
I think my interpretation of her would be identical to Sarah because it'd be like soft and weak.
No, just make it. Just wait until we see what she has to say, and then we'll look at that.
Then we'll fight over it.
We'll look at what she has to say.
All right.
Becky looked nothing like any illustration of Sleeping Beauty. Her gown was stained, her face was smeared with soot, and her poor little kerchief hung half off her head. Even her face beneath the dirt was a plain one. She looked only like an ugly, stunted, worn-out little scullery drudge.
Whoa! She's not ugly. Her face looks normal. She's just dirty. Don't be judging.
But Sarah was not crossed to find such a figure in her own favorite chair.
The ill-used heroine of the story. Now at last I can talk to her when she wakes. Wait, she didn't talk about the story like this game? Because that's a little bit weird.
I know it's been a while, but to her, she's often making up stories to suit her life. So read her line again.
The ill-used heroine of the story. Now at last I can talk to her when she wakes.
She kept closer to the chair, walking quietly on raised feet, and stood there looking at her.
Oh, that's going to freak her out. I wish she'd waken herself. I don't wish to waken her, but Miss Minchin will be cross if she finds out. I'll just wait a few minutes.
She took a seat on the edge of the table and sat swinging her slim legs. If Miss Minchin came looking for Becky, she was sure to be scolded.
But she is so tired, so tired.
At that moment, Emily struck. At that moment, Sarah's indecision was interrupted by a popping sound from the fire. A piece of flaming coal had broken and shifted.
Huh?
Alarm! Becky did not realize at first that she had fallen asleep. She only remembered sitting down for a moment and the gentle glow. And now, here she found herself staring in wild alarm at the wonderful pupil, who sat perched quite near her like a fairy. Alarm! Becky sprang to her feet, clutching at her kerchief to set it right.
Oh, miss, I ask your pardon, miss, oh, I do, miss.
Sarah put her dainty feet on the ground and stood.
Don't be frightened. It doesn't matter the least bit.
I didn't go to do it, miss. It was the warm fire and me being so tired. It weren't impertinence.
Sarah broke into a friendly little laugh.
You were tired. You could not help it. You were not really awake yet.
Ain't you angry, miss? Ain't you gonna tell the missus?
No, of course I'm not.
I know I shouldn't have touched your things, miss.
Sarah shook her head.
Why, we are just the same. I am only a little girl like you. It's just an accident that I am not you, and you are not me.
Accident, miss?
Have you done your work? Dare you stay a few minutes?
Here, miss? Me?
If your bedrooms are finished, perhaps you might stay a tiny while. I thought perhaps you might like a piece of cake.
Cake? Me?
Look at her eyes. She's so excited. Yes, of course.
The next 10 minutes seemed to Becky like a sort of fever dream. The show pupil opened a cupboard and produced a thick slice of cake, all for her, and actually seemed enthusiastic about watching Becky eat it. In between bites, Sarah managed to get answers to a few questions.
A few weeks ago you were watching me through the area railing, weren't you?
Yes, miss, Once I saw a princess. I was standing in the street with the crowd outside Covent Garden, watching the swells go into the opera, and there was one everyone stared at most. They says to each other, "That's the princess." She was a grown-up young lady, but she was pink and lace all over, and flowers and all, as pretty as anything. That's what you look like, miss, that day. You look like her.
I've often thought that I should like to be a princess. I wonder what it feels like. I believe I will begin pretending I am one.
Ain't you already?
From elsewhere in the school, there was the sound of a door slamming.
Oh, miss, I've got to go.
Come back someday when you have more time, and I can finish that story you were listening to. I'm always putting new bits to it in my head.
Oh, miss, if you do that, I won't mind how heavy the coal boxes was, or what cook done to me, if I might have that to think of.
She bobbed an awkward little curtsy, grabbing for her kerchief when it slipped again, and then hurried from the room.
Ha!
Ho ha!
Sorry, Mariette. We have to help Becky.
Sarah came upon the little maid, hard at work in the school corridors.
Becky?
Oh, miss.
So startled was she at being addressed that she fumbled the bucket of sooty brushes she carried, nearly dropping them. Sarah rushed forward to grab the handle and prevent a spill.
Miss, you oughtn't. You'll muck up your nice dress, you will.
It's all right. I'm being careful.
Please, miss, you shouldn't. It's not right.
Well, you are the expert, of course, so I'll leave things in your hands.
Expert?
Aren't you? I'm sure you're good at your work.
Never heard it put that way, miss.
Mariette says that everyone below stairs takes advantage of you and asks you to do too many things. They ought to thank you and tell you that you are doing a good job.
Becky looked so baffled at the idea of being thanked for her labors that Sarah could not let the matter rest.
Is Miss Minchin very unkind to you?
Shouldn't say nothing about the missus, miss.
Sarah looked up and down the hall, listening.
No one is anywhere about. Come into my rooms if you feel safer that way.
Oh, I shouldn't, miss. It's my first job, miss. First job in a real house. Like, it's hard work, but at night I've got my own room and my own bed. Never had that at the workhouse, miss.
You didn't have a bed?
Room's full of beds, miss. But we're full of girls. Everybody squeezes. It's good in the winter, isn't it? Keeps you warm.
Sarah did not lack for imagination, but she simply did not have the frame of reference to picture a workhouse dormitory, with its rows of narrow beds crammed together. The smallest sleeping quarters she had ever seen were those on board the ship which brought Sarah and her papa to England.
Here, sometimes it gets real spooky up top with the wind, but it's still my room, so it's not so bad. If the missus hadn't given me this job, I don't know what I'd do.
She is grateful for so little. Listen, are you done with your chores for a while? Would you like to come and have cake again?
Oh, miss, I'd like that, but I've got these other rooms still to do, and the curtains, and...
She looked absolutely crestfallen at the idea of abandoning the cake, but still determined not to give up on her duties.
Such unrewarded diligence. Miss Minchin does not deserve her. It's all right. I promise. I will keep the cake and wait for you. You can come by whenever you're finished for the day.
Even if it's the evening, miss? There's a whole heap of cooked sour today.
If you work so late, then you'll need a treat even more, don't you? I'll stop getting in your way now. I don't want to get you in trouble for talking to me. I will see you later when you can. I promise.
Thank you, miss.
New week.
Sarah was sitting all curled up in the lovely soft chair by the fire, that same chair in which she had found Becky asleep not so long ago. Her stockinged feet were folded up beneath her, her elbows on the chair arm, and her chin in her hands.
If I were a princess, a real princess, I could go among the populace in a grand coach and scatter largesse. Everyone who is tired and poor and hungry, I can make their lives better. That's what a princess ought to do. Even if I'm only a pretend princess, I can still invent little things to do for people.
She thought back to Becky's amazed delight at being warmed and fed.
It took so little to make a difference for her. She was just as happy as if it had been largesse. From now on, I'll pretend that to do things people like is scattering largesse. Then I can truly be a princess.
The thought swelled up inside her, making her head feel quite light. Before she knew it, Sarah was sitting up straight in her chair, her arms at her side and her feet hanging down, just like a little princess on her throne.
Are you going to take up... What? What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing because every time you read her voice, you stick your chin out.
I have to. It's proper posturing.
Okay.
Are you going to take one of the eggs out of the nest to raise it?
I can't watch you when you do this. All of a sudden just sticks out. Like,
yeah, well, I have to try to make her sound a little bit different than the other various chicks I'm doing.
Okay, it's just funny.
What?
I don't know if you were judging me. Today I've arranged a special...
Now I'm judging you.
Well, now I'm under pressure. Today I've arranged a special outing for your edification.
Edification.
Quiet now. Form up. Let's go.
No. Hold on. Rewind. Go do it again. Remember. Elderly school marm.
That's what I thought I was doing. Quiet now. Form up. Let's go.
Be more caring. A little bit.
Quiet now. Form up. Let's go. Quiet now. Form up. Let's go.
More caring between these two words. No, seriously.
How can you be caring between words when there's no sound?
Just trust me.
Quiet now. Form up. Let's go.
Sarah, mama.
Yeah, that's better. It was from like, look at this girl. She's having a breakdown.
Your face is having a breakdown. The young girl clung to Sarah. The mental picture of herself decked out in a pink dancing frock with a crown of flowers was so delightful that Sarah laughed aloud. No. No. No.
I got nothing. That's all about it.
Becky sprang to her feet, clutching at her kerchief to set it right. All right, so do you think you can try that?
Oh, miss, I asked your pardon, miss. Oh, I do, miss.
No. Think of someone less educated, maybe not quite as soft and docile as Sarah.
And that becomes Ermengarde.
Just
Oh, miss, I asked your pardon, miss. Oh, I do, miss. I think you will do this better. I can't do this. I have only...
You know how many chicks I've got to do voices for?
Yes, but yours are very extreme differences. You don't have one that's kind of like this yet.
Like you said, she's on the main cover of...
Yeah.
So...
It shouldn't be me. I can't do both. If she's a main person...
You don't think he...
I don't think...
I think for a female character, it's better to have the female player do her voice.
I think when it's a female player who's not so good at the voices, it's better to have the male do it.
Sarah broke into a friendly little laugh. I don't know. I don't really sound... See, I sound... No. I sound like a dude doing this
fine.
voice.
She
is an important character.
She's strong and she's down scrubbing floors.
She's an important character.
It doesn't matter.
Whatever.
Maybe she's in touch with her masculine side.
Maybe you're masculine.
Okay, you know what? Let's continue.